Hey guys, my name is Shirish. So the cameras on the OnePlus Nord. Now, throughout the marketing campaign of the OnePlus Nord, OnePlus was really stressing on the term flagship grade cameras. So as usual, once I got the phone, I went out on a spin and did capture some images, and these are my thoughts. So now the phone has a 48 megapixel primary camera and the sensor used is Sony IMX586. Now, the sensor, as you know, isn't necessarily new. It's been there in the space for a while now, but still, it is a very capable sensor in my opinion. So the images coming out of the camera are actually quite a lot good. The dynamic range especially turned better than what I had expected, although it's not really as aggressive as some Pixel phones, but it's still quite a lot decent. The images also have good amount of details, not obviously as detailed as some of the other phones with 64 megapixel sensor, but still the images have decent amount of details as well. Apart from that, the colors for me, in my personal opinion, they just seem a little bit more saturated. Not to the level of Realme phones, of course, and most people would actually like this saturated tone of colors. But yeah, honestly speaking, I don't really feel that the colors coming out are like extremely natural or accurate, but still, I know most people are going to like that. Apart from that, the camera occasionally messes up with the white balance, but this is something that you can find across most phones, so I'm not really going to complain about that. Then if we talk about the ultra wide angle lens, first off, the images are a bit soft as compared to some other phones with ultra wide angle lens or ultra wide angle camera. You won't notice it directly, but as soon as you try zooming in a little bit, you can tell that the image actually should have been a little bit more sharp and detailed. Also, like most phones with ultra wide angle camera, this one as well needs a lot of light. And I mean a lot of light to get acceptable images. And because if you are going to shoot indoors or if you're going to shoot in a scenario where there's not a lot of light, then the camera or the lens is actually going to struggle quite a lot. So just keep that in mind if you do own a OnePlus Nord. But yes, unlike most phones, the color science for the ultra wide angle lens on the OnePlus Nord is actually really great. It's actually quite similar to what we have on the primary sensor, and you might have seen a lot of phones with this issue where the color science for primary camera or primary lens and the color science for the ultra wide angle lens is totally different. But that's not really the case with the OnePlus Nord. Of course, there can be some irregularities with this, but yeah, for the most part, the OnePlus Nord actually does a good job when it comes to color science under ultra wide angle lens. And about the macro lens, what I feel is if you are going to add a fourth camera or a macro lens, then please make it good. If the image lacks details, even bright daylight, then that in my opinion totally sucks. On the OnePlus Nord, the macro camera is actually trash if you are serious about macro photography. Because even in bright daylight, the image is actually turned quite a lot soft, and that's not really something that I was actually expecting from a phone that comes at a price of like 25 or 28,000 rupees. Frankly speaking, I had to try like really hard to somewhat get acceptable images. So yeah, just like most phones, the macro camera on the OnePlus Nord as well, it's not really that good. I also captured few portrait mode images, unwillingly of course. The edge detection actually seems good overall, but when the conditions are actually challenging, when the phone needs to squeeze out a lot of dynamic range, the edge detection actually seems a little bit messed up. Apart from that, I feel that the camera is actually softening the skin of the subject quite a lot. I mean, I had turned off the beauty filter, but still it did that. And I don't think that's really nice because, yeah, I mean, I personally don't really like that. Now, if you talk about the low light performance, well, if there's absolutely no light, the camera is going to struggle for sure. In the end, this is not a Pixel phone which can like give decent images even under extremely challenging scenarios. But if there's a bit of light, then the images can turn good as well, like not complaining about that. The noise reduction algorithm seems to work good too, so no complaints when it comes to noise levels as well. But the thing is, because of the inferiorities of the sensor itself, sometimes the shutter speed is like too slow. In that case, if you don't really have stable hands, then your image is going to be blurred out quite a lot. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, if there is like considerable amount of light in the image, then the pictures can actually turn good as well. No complaints with that. And now if we talk about the video side of things, this is the part that I like the most, mainly because of OIS. The footage coming out of the phone is quite a lot stable. On top of it, there's super steady mode which gets even more stable footage if there's of course enough light. But I think standard stabilization within itself is quite good enough. The colors in the video look good and the camera does a great job with managing exposure as well. And yes, the video does have good amount of details too, just in case you were wondering. Now the camera app also has this 21:9 aspect ratio mode during video, which gives you that cinematic look right off the bat. Personally, the video on the OnePlus Nord has by far been my favorite part about the camera overall, because yeah, frankly speaking, OIS seems to be like a very big deal to me at least. Now, if I have to conclude, I feel the OnePlus Nord has a good camera setup overall. Of course, this is not the phone that you're going to buy solely for the sake of camera under the price of, let's say, 35,000 or 30,000 as well. There are certain phones which are better in terms of camera, but I think the camera is not really that bad either. It's slightly above average if I just have to term it. And I also genuinely feel that OnePlus can actually make things better with the camera, especially when it comes to nightscape. I mean, if OnePlus can somehow manage to reduce the shutter speed just a little bit, then I think that will be like really cool when it comes to nightscape. And also in terms of detailing, if OnePlus somehow manages to improve the algorithm just a little bit, then I think that would make the phone a lot more better than what it right now is, or the cameras to be more specific. So yeah, that's how I feel about the cameras on the OnePlus Nord. They're not really exceptional or anything, but they're not really that bad either. In fact, they're just above average in my opinion. And if you are into video side of things, then OIS is going to come in really handy for you. So yeah, that's about it. I hope the video helped you in some way or the other. If it did, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.